inadvertently. It was I who found the body. This morning, as usual, I went out to cut my daily quota of cedars, when I found the body in a grove in a hollow in the mountains. The exact location, sir? About 150 meters off the Yamashita Road. It's an out-of-the-way grove of mountains and cedar, sir. The body was lying flat on its back. A single sword stroke had pierced the breast. The fallen bamboo blades around it were stained with bloody blossoms. No, the blood was no longer running. The wound had dried, I believe. And also, a gadfly was stuck fast there, hardly noticing my footsteps. You asked me if I saw any sword or any such thing? No, sir, nothing. I found only a rope at the root of the cedar nearby. In addition to the rope, I found a comb. That was all. Apparently, he must have battled before he was murdered, sir, because the grass and fallen bamboo blades had been trampled down all around. No, sir. It's hard for a man to enter, let alone a horse.
The time? Certainly it was about noon yesterday, sir. The unfortunate man was on the road from Sekiyama to Yamashina. He was walking towards Sekiyama with a woman accompanying him on a horseback, who I have learned was his wife. A scarf hanging from her head hid her face from him. All I saw was the color of her clothes, a lilac-colored suit. Her horse was a sorrel with a fine mane. The lady's height? About 4 or 5 inches. Since I'm a Buddhist priest, I took little notice about her details. Well, the man is armed with sword, as well as bows and arrows. And I remember that he carried some 20-odd arrows in his quiver. Little did I expect that he would meet such a fate. Truly life is as evanescent as morning dew, or a flash of lightning. My words are inadequate to express my sympathy for him.
The man that I arrested, he is a notorious brigand called Tajumaro. When I arrested him, he had fallen off his horse. He was groaning on the bridge at Awatagochi. The time, it was the early hours of last night. For the record, I might say that the other day I tried to arrest him, but unfortunately he escaped. He was wearing a dark blue silk kimono with a large plain sword. As you can see, he got some bow and arrows somewhere. You mean that bow and arrows looks like the one owned by the dead man? Then Tajumaro must be the murderer. The bow wound with a leather strips, the black lacquer quiver, the 17 arrows with a hawk feathers. These were all in his possession, I believe. Yes, sir. The horse is, as you say, a sorrel with a fine mane. A little beyond the stone bridge, I found the horse grazing by the roadside with his long rein dangling. Surely there are some providence in his having been thrown by the horse. Of all the robbers prowling around Kyoto, this Tajumaro has given the most grief to the women in town. Last autumn, a wife who came from the mountain back of Pindora of the Torrid Mountain, presumably to pay a visit, was murdered along with the girl. It has been suspected that it was his doing. If this criminal murdered the man, You cannot tell what he may have done to the man's wife. May it please your honor to look into this problem as well.
Yes, sir. That Curbs is the man who married my daughter. He does not come from Kyoto. He was a samurai in the town of Kokoku, in the province of Wakasa. His name is Kanazawa no Takehiro, and his age was 26. He was of a gentle disposition, so I am sure that he did nothing to provoke the amours of others. My daughter, her name is Masago, and her age is 19. She is spirited, fun-loving girl, but I am sure she never known any man except Takehiro. She has a small, oval, dark completed face with a mole at the corner of her left eye. Yesterday, Takehiro left for Wakasa with my daughter. What bad luck is the thing should have come to such a sad end? What have brought to my daughter? I am resigning for giving up my son-in-law as lost, but the fate of my daughter worries me sick. For heaven's sake, leave no unstone to find her. I hate that man Tajumaro, or whatever his name is. Not only my son-in-law, but my daughter. Daughter.
That man in the blue silk kimono, after forcing me to yield to him, laughed mockingly as he looked into my bound husband. How horrified my husband must have been! But no matter how hard he struggled in agony, the rope cut into him all the more tightly. In spite of myself, I run stumblingly toward his side, or rather, I run toward his side, but the man instantly knocked me down. Just at the moment, I saw an indescribable light in my husband's eyes, something beyond expression. His eyes makes me shudder even now. That instantaneous look of my husband, who couldn't speak a word, told me all of his heart. The flash in his eyes was neither anger nor sorrow, only a cold light, a look of loathing. More struck by the look in his eyes than by the blow of the thief, I called out in myself and fell unconscious. In the course of time that I came to and found that the man in the blue silk was gone, I saw only my husband still tied in the root of the cedar. I raised myself from the bamboo with difficulty and looked into his face. But the expression in his eyes was just the same as before. Beneath the cold contempt in his eyes, there was hatred, shame, grief, and anger. I don't know how to express my heart at that time. Reeling to my feet, I went to my husband. Takehiro, I said to him, since things come to this pass, I cannot live with you. I am determined to die, but you must die too. I can't leave you alive as you are. This is all I can say. Still, he went on, gazing at me with loathing and contempt. My heart breaking, I looked to his sword. It must have been taken by the robber. Neither his sword nor his bow were to be seen in the grove. But fortunately, my small sword was lying at my feet. Raising it overhead, once again, I said, "Now give me your life. I'll follow you right away." When he heard these words, he moved his lips with difficulty, since his mouth was filled with bamboo leaves. Of course, his words couldn't be heard at all, but at a glance, I understood his words, despising me. His look said only, "Kill me!" Neither conscious nor unconscious, I stabbed the small sword in the lilac-colored kimono into his breast. Again, at this time, I must have been fainted. But the time I managed to look up, he had already breathed his last breath. A streak of sinking sunlight streamed through the clump of the cedars and bamboos and shone on his pale face, gulping down my sobs. I untied the rope from his body and what has become of me since I have no more strength to tell you. Anyway, I haven't had the strength. I stabbed my own throat with the small sword. I threw myself in the pond at the foot of the mountain. And I tried to kill myself in many ways. Unfortunately, I am unable to end my life. I am still living. I am still living in dishonor. Worthless as I am, I must have been forsaken even the most merciful Kwannon. I killed my own husband. I was violated. Whatever can I do? Whatever can I?
After violating my wife, the robber began to speak comforting words to her. Of course, I couldn't speak. My whole body was tied fast to the root of the cedar. But meanwhile, I winked at her many times, as much as to say, "Don't believe the robber." I wanted to convey some such meaning to her, but my wife, sitting dejectedly on the bamboo leaves, was looking hard at her lap. To all appearances, she was listening to his words. In the meantime, the robber went on with his clever talk, from one subject to another. And then he made his bold and brazen proposal. "Once your virtue is stained, you won't get along well with your husband. So won't you be my wife instead? It is my love for you that made me be violent towards you." While the criminal talked, my wife raised her face as if in a trance. She had never looked so beautiful as at that moment. What did my beautiful wife say in answer to him while I was sitting bound there? I was lost in space. I have never thought of her answer without burning with anger and jealousy. "Truly," she said, "then take me away with you wherever you go." This is not the whole of her sin. If that were all, I would not be tormented so much in the dark. When she was going out of the grove, as if in a dream, her hand in the robber's, she suddenly turned pale and pointed at me and said, "Kill him! I cannot marry you as long as he lives. Kill him!"
I'm crazy. Even now, these words threaten to blow me headlong into the bottomless abyss of darkness. Have such hateful thing come out of a human mouth ever before? Have such cursed words ever struck a human ear even once? Even such... At these words, the robber himself turned pale. "Kill him!" she cried, clinging to his arms. Looking hard at her, he answered neither yes or no. But hardly have I ever thought of his answer before she had been knocked down to the bamboo leaves. Quietly folding his arms, he looked at me and said, "What will you do to her? Kill her? Save her? You have only to nod. Kill her?" For those words alone, I would like to pardon him for his crime. While I hesitated, she shrieked and ran into the depths of the grove. The robber instantly snatched her, but failed even to grasp her sleeves. After she ran away, he took up my sword and my bow and arrow. With a single stroke, he cut one of my bonds, and I remember his mumbling, "My fate is next." Then he disappeared from the grove. All was silent after that. No, I hear someone crying, untying the rest of my bonds. I listened carefully, and I noticed that it was my own crying. I rose my exhausted body from the root of the cedar, and I found a small sword, shining small sword that my wife had dropped. I took it up and stabbed it into my breast. A bloody lump rose to my mouth. I didn't feel any pain. When my breast grew cold, everything was as silent as the dead in their graves. What profound silence! Not a single bird note was heard in the sky over this grave in the hollow of the mountains. Only a lonely night lingered on the cedars and mountains. By and by, light gradually grew fainter, till the cedars and bamboo were lost to view. Lying there, I was enveloped in deep silence. Then, someone crept up to me. I tried to see who it was, but darkness had already been gathering around me. Someone drew the small sword softly out of my breast in its invisible hand. At the same time, once more, blood flew into my mouth, and once and for all, I sank down to the darkness of space.
I killed the man, but not the woman though. I don't even know where she is. Oh. Wait a minute. No torture can make me confess what I don't know. Well, anyways. Now things have come to Shashid. I won't keep anything from you. Yesterday, a little past noon, I met Naka. Just in a puff of wind blew and grazed her hanging scarf. I caught a glimpse of her face. Huh? Oh yeah. Instantly, it was again covered from my view. That may have been one reason. She looked like a bodhisattva. At that moment, I made up my mind to capture her, even if I had to kill her husband. Why? Why? To me, killing isn't a matter of such great consequence as you might think. When a woman is captured, her man has to be killed anyway. In killing, I use sword I wear at my side. But am I the only one who kills people though? You don't use your sword. You kill people with your power. With your money. With your money. Sometimes, you kill them on the pretext of working for their good. It's true. They don't bleed. They are in the best of health. But all the same, you've killed them. It's hard to say who is the greater sinner. Is it me? Or is it you? It would be good if I could capture a woman without killing her man. So I made up my mind to capture her and do my best not to kill him. But it's out of the question in the Yamashina stage room. So I managed to lure the couple into the mountains. It was quite easy. So I became their traveling companion. And I told them there was an old man in the mountains. Over there. And that I had dug it open and found many mirrors and swords. Sing! I went in to tell them I'd buried the things in a grove behind the mountains. And I'd like to sell them at a low price to anyone who would have wished it. Then, you see? Isn't greed a terrible thing? So terrible. He was beginning to be moved by my talk before he knew it. In less than half an hour, they were driving their horse towards the mountain. With me. When he came in front of the grove, I told them that the treasure were buried in it. And I asked them to come and see. The man has no objections. He was blinded by greed. What a stupid man. The woman said she would wait in the horseback. It was only natural for her to say so at the side of a thick grove. To tell you the truth, my plan worked so well. So I went into the grove with him and leave her behind alone. The grove is only bamboo for some distance. About 50 ahead, there's a rather open dump of clump of cedars. Cedars. It was a convenient spot for my purpose. pushing my way through the grove. I told him a plausible lie that the treasure were buried under the cedars. Cedars. When I told him this, he pushed his slumberous way towards the slender cedar, visible through the grove. After a while, the bamboo thinned out, and we came to where a number of cedars grew in a row. As soon as we got there, I seized him from behind. Because he was trained, sword-bearing warrior, he was strong. But he was taken by surprise, so there was no help for help. I soon tied him up to the root of cedar. Where did I get the rope? Thank heaven! Being a robber, I had rope with me, since I might have to scale a wall. Of course, it was easy for me to stop him by gouging out his mouth by bamboo leaves. When I disposed of him, I went to his woman and asked her to come and see him because he seemed to have been suddenly sick. It's needless to say that this plan worked as well. The woman, her sedge hat off, came into the depth of the grove, where I led her by the hand. The instant she caught a sight of her husband, she drew a small sword. I've never seen a woman of such violence. If I'd been off guard, I'd have a thrust in my side. I dodged, but she kept on slashing me. She might have wounded me deeply or killed me. But I'm Tajumaru. I managed to strike down her small sword without drawing my own. The most spirited woman is defenseless without a weapon. At least, I could satisfy my desire for her without taking her husband's life. Yes! Without taking his life. I had no wish to kill. I was about to run away from the grove, leaving the woman in tears, when she frantically clung into my arm. In broken fragments of words, she asked that either her husband or I die. She said it was more trying than death to have her shame have two men. She said it was more trying than death to have her shame known to two men. Two men. She gasped out that she wanted to be the wife of whichever survived. Then, a ferocious desire seized me to kill him. Telling you in this way, no doubt, I seem a crueler man than you. But that's because you didn't see her face. Especially her burning eyes at that moment. As I saw her eye to eye, I wanted to make her my wife, even if I had to struck by lightning. I wanted to make her my wife. This single desire filled my mind. There was not only lust, as you might think. At that time, if I had no other desire than lust, I'd surely not have minded knocking her down and running away. Then, I wouldn't have stained my sword with his blood. But the moment I gazed at her face in the groove, I decided not to live there without killing him. But I didn't like to resort to unfair means to kill him. I untied him and told him to cross sword with me. Furious with anger, he drew his thick sword, and quick as thought, he sprung with me ferociously, without speaking a word. I need not tell you how our fight turned out. The 23rd stroke. 23rd stroke, yeah. Please remember this. I'm impressed with this fact still. Nobody under the sun has ever clashed sword with me. 20 strokes. 20 strokes. When he fell, I turned towards her, lowering my blood-stained sword. But to my great astonishment, she was gone. She was gone. She was gone. Gone. I wondered to where she had run away. I looked for her in the clump of cedars. I listened, but heard only a groaning sound of a dying man. As soon as we started to cross sword, she may have run away to the grove to call for help. When I thought of that, I decided it was a matter of life or death For me? So robbing him of his sword and bows and arrows. I ran to the mountain road. There I found her horse. Nay, nay, still grazing quietly. It would be a mere waste of work to tell you the later details. But before I entered town, I had already parted with the sword. That's all my confession. I know that my head will be hung in chains anyway. So, put me down in the maximum penalty!